Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and welcome to Knife AQ episode 172 of the series where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. This week, you know that little fifth pocket on a pair of blue jeans that nobody seems to know what to do with? Well, we know some knives that can fit in there, but what about a multi-tool? Ta-da! All right, if you're new to this series, what we do is we attempt to answer, well, we do give an answer. Let me back up. We attempt to give a good answer to questions that are left in the comments section below these videos. Whether we succeed or not, that's up to you to let us know, of course. But anyway, if you've got a question and you would like it to be considered for a future episode, sorry again, this whole week, man, I've just been fumbling my words. I'm
Blade Show slump.
Post Blade Show itis or something. If you have a question, leave it in the comments, and it'll have a chance to be in a future episode. First question this week is from Dargo2442. I remember you made a fifth pocket knife video. What would you recommend for a fifth pocket multi-tool? This one was, it's one of those cool ones where at the top of your head it's like, yeah, nothing really is made for that, except for like, there's one thing in particular that I think the form factor was supremely well suited for a fifth pocket multi-tool, was the SOG Sync. Both the standard bladed versions and the traveler versions with no blades, but they don't make any of those anymore, which is unfortunate. But there are other small multi-tools which we can fit in a fifth pocket, even if they aren't as like obviously suited for it. We'll start with classics, Swiss Army knife. With the classic SD, for example, but any of the small keychain-sized Swiss Army knives is going to fit really nicely in there. This one happens to be the Alox Mini Champ because it is chock full of all of the folding implements that this small frame can carry. There are other versions of this that are a little thicker that have the pen and then the pen and the flashlight in it as well, but those are a little bit thicker than this, of course. And the Alox Classic actually would be super slim, super unnoticeable in there. What does it give you? Well, admittedly, this is not a Leatherman competitor. This is not a full-sized multi-tool. So you're dealing with keychain-sized implements like a small pen blade. This really nifty combo tool, actually. You've got a small Phillips wire stripper and bottle opener on that side, and a very capable, despite its small size, pair of scissors. Opposite side here, we have a little spatula-like tool. What do they call that, actually? It's the cuticle pusher. It can also be used to separate pills, if you wish. We also have a small flathead screwdriver with a ruler on the back that is in millimeters. And we also have, come on now, a small hook-shaped blade for parcel opening or orange peeling. Works well for that. Another small blade, this time a Wharncliffe blade. Sometimes it gets a little hawk-billed thanks to its sharpening job, and a nail file. Really cool. Really small. However, if you want something a bit more, step on up to the Bantam Alox or non-Alox. This is the Alox version. The Cadet will also work really well. That has an extra layer of tools on this, but both of those models are super slim, and I've carried these in my fifth pocket numerous times. The Alox Bantam, this is a KnifeCenter exclusive red color on this model, is simple, but it's like deceptively simple because it feels like you can get a decent amount of stuff done, or what it can get done, it does really well. Let me put it that way instead. Pen blade, average size, but definitely more than the keychain size tools. It feels like, you know, an honest to goodness knife. And then the combo tool here that does prying, it does flathead stuff, it does bottle opening. It will also open tin cans. It has a wire stripper, and this corner, if you twist it in an offset manner, will actually work on some Phillips head screws as well. So that little implement really does a lot, and it takes up, shield on the front, very little room indeed. If you want a small Swiss Army knife type of thing, but not made by Victorinox because you want some more premium steel, the Fox Vulpes series could be worth a look. I should mention prices. That Alox Mini Champ is like $70. That's not an inexpensive tiny knife. Whereas the Bantam is about $27 for this. Anyway, But check out this. This Fox Vulpes is normally about 56 bucks. This is one of the 2-layer versions. Any thicker than that, it might get a little unwieldy in that pocket. There are thicker versions, however. This is the Vulpes 3, on sale at the time we're making this video for just over 47 bucks as well. It has 2 implements on one side. You've got a can opener. Even when it's not a Victorinox, Thomas, I say the wrong one the first time.
The switch is just permanently flipped.
Oh man. Can opener, right? Yeah, and bottle opener on this side, each with a differently sized flathead on the top, especially on the can opener side. That would make a little...
Bottle opener side.
I'm embarrassed. On the bottle opener side, that one would make a fairly convincing small pry tool. As for the blade, we're dealing with N690 steel, which is so it's Austrian made. Really fine stuff. Definitely takes the fight to the Victorinox steel and beats it handily. Definitely more edge retention here. If you want real premium edge retention, N390 is also available. And as for the handles, this is blue aluminum. G10 and carbon fiber are also available. Other flavors of aluminum are also available if you're not a fan of the blue raspberry flavored version right here. Back to Victorinox for a second. There is a genre of multi-tool that actually lends itself well to that 5th pocket. It may not be quite what you were thinking about. This is kind of a lateral entry into this answer. But the credit card sized tools, you know, obviously your 5th pocket size may vary, but these fit in mine pretty well. And the ones my typical pants aren't huge in the 5th pocket department, but the Swiss Card series is pretty cool. This is the blueberry flavored version, but other flavors are of course available. And this is the Swiss Card Light, which has a small flashlight baked into it, which is admittedly not very bright. It can help you find, the keyhole if you're trying to unlock a door or something like that. Other small things, but you're not really illuminating much with this. Your cell phone light is definitely going to be a lot brighter. What you have with this one, you do actually have a blade right there, which is nice. You do have the Victorinox scissors, this time with the ring on the end for usage. I will say for my hands, even though I actually do carry a Swiss Card, although it is carried in my wallet, the scissors are a little small for my hand size, but I've seen other people use it no problem. But for me, it's a little tiny, but I do appreciate having it. The light version also has this 4-sided screwdriver right here with a couple Phillips and a couple flatheads. Just a little bit to get you done in a pinch. Magnifying glass, you've got tweezers, you've got the toothpick. Wait, no, this version does not have the toothpick, sorry. You do have the pressurized ballpoint pen, however, which is quite nice, and the small sewing pin. Other versions of this, the standard version gets rid of the light and the 4-way screwdriver thing, but instead you get a small flathead screwdriver on the end of a nail file, and you can also get that with the toothpick if you prefer. Slim definitely stays way out of the way. That's not going to take up any real bulk in that 5th pocket, so it's not going to impede getting into the pocket underneath of it. All right, moving away from Victorinox though, this next company I think is doing a really good job across the board with their small multi-tools, especially with some of the key partnerships with other small multi-tool makers to put something in their lineup, and that's Olight. Specifically their, well, I guess some of them are under their O-Knife sub-brand, which is still Olight, but they're all part of the Otical or Otacle series. Still not sure how they pronounce it, but Otical sounds good, so we're gonna go with Otical. The first is the Otical C1, which is really inexpensive. It's about $6. Definitely beats the roughly 50 bucks of the Swiss cards there, but you're definitely getting a different type of functionality here. You do have a bottle opener. You do have an angle finder on the back side of that bottle opener. See, I didn't call it a can opener, Thomas.
You will.
A couple different sizes, or 5 different sizes of hex wrench, spoke wrench adjusters on either side of the number 0 Phillips head on the corner, pry tool with nail puller, flathead on the other corner here, and you even have a small hook knife for cutting straps, or even maybe some certain types of packaging will be able to be cut with that implement right there, and a couple of elasticated loops right there for attaching other things to that if you wish. Not a bad thing for like $6, I'm telling you. Next up, I mean, there are plenty of single-piece multi-tools out there, and I kind of wanted to steer away from them mostly, apart from the credit card-sized things for this video, because most people, when they think of asking for a multi-tool, I think are thinking for something that folds. But because I'm talking about Olight and I want to showcase, the range of their Autical series, we'll look at this J1M, the Gym, shall we call it right here. But it's very compact, feels more sturdy than the simple steel plate of the P. Sorry, what's that one? C1. I should know this. I just said it. Yes, the C1. This is actually made of titanium, and you get it milled out. It's gonna be a little more expensive as a result, but still only about 20 bucks. Bottle opener. You've got an angle finder in this center circle right here. 3 different sizes of hex wrenches, 2 spoke wrenches on the back, 14 and 15, and a flathead. Not a huge amount of variety in the tools, but it's there. But let's get into some of their folding things. The Olight O-Knife Autical K1. It's a bit of a mouthful. This is also about 20 bucks. It's a little bit bigger than the standard keychain sized Swiss Army knives, but not quite as big as the Bantam and Cadet sized versions. In reality, it's a little bit closer in size to the old money clip knife that Victorinox made. 3 main implements. You have a blade, a little more reach than your standard Swiss Army knife. And this is just going to be a basic stainless steel. I think it's like 5CR or something like that. Nothing to get too excited about, but serviceable. What do I call this one, Thomas? I'm going to get so confused.
Parcel hook.
It's not a parcel hook. We've got a bottle opener here, a can opener up top with a little bit of a slightly sharpened edge, and a small flathead. And then on the other side, you've got a pair of scissors as well. Very slim, aluminum handle, not going to stick out, not going to add too much bulk to that 5th pocket, and be pretty handy. Okay, what if you really want pliers on your multi-tool? Apart from the old Sync series, that might have been something that would seem impossible, but Olight is working closely with Nextool, actually, which we have an option from them here in a second, on basically bringing over a couple of their designs, finishing up a little bit higher fit and finish, a little bit fancier, not fancier around the edges, but the tools feel finished just a little bit nicer than the Nextool equivalents I've seen. This is the Autical P1. It's about 25 bucks. And size-wise, it's about the size of the old Gerber dime, which we'll mention here in a second, as well as like the Leatherman Squirt, which you can't really get anymore. And it comes with spring-loaded pair of combination pliers, needle nose, standard, and wire cutters there at the base. You're not going to move mountains with something like this, but it's a handy little gripper. And in terms of outside tools, you have a blade. That's not it. You have a blade, sheepsfoot style. Again, pretty basic steel here. You have on the other side a can opener / bottle opener.
Can bottle.
Really throwing us for a loop these days, huh? Opposite side, small pair of scissors, and these are actually surprisingly legit. They feel really stout and they snip pretty nicely. And other side of that same arm, you've got a 2D Phillips and a small flathead and a SIM ejector tool. This will also work as a device reset poker for when your router is on the fritz again. Really cool little implement. The P1S is like this, but it has a scissors instead of the pliers. And I think instead of the scissors internally, it's got a diamond file on one side, or a small file with diamond and crosscut on it, if I'm remembering correctly. Let's check out now. Well, before we get to Nextool, who Olight worked with on this Autical pliers tool here, we do have to mention the Gerber dime. Sorry, this is in packaging. Didn't want to open this one up. It's a classic in the genre. They run about $24 right now. Comes with the pliers, flathead, Phillips with a file, scissors, blade, another small blade, bottle opener, tweezers. Classic. I mean, undeniable classic in the list because it's been around forever and people still find it useful. The splice and the vise are newer tools, kind of the same size. One is pliers based, as you can see, and the other is scissors based. Other than that, the internal tools are the same. You got 2 blades, one plain edge, one fully serrated, Phillips head with a file, flathead, and a smaller flathead as well. You can check those out. Prices on those coming in actually very affordable. Definitely under these other options, about $19 right now. So back to the Autical though, getting a little bit bulkier, but still manageable, I would say. I've actually carried one myself in the 5th pocket just for kicks, trying it out. Similar size, actually slightly less thick, about the same thickness, and a little bit wider. We got width to spare, so that's not a problem. The next tool, Mini Flagship. This stainless steel handled version is running about $35 right now. And not only do you have that same pliers head right here, and here's where you can see what I can mean about the O-knife versions, O-light versions being finished a little bit nicer. Here's the O-knife in my right hand. Here's the next tool in my left. You can see where the plier jaws meet. It's a little bit nicer here on the O-light O-knife version. That said, you still get the same type of gripping force, which is to say, the only amount you'll be able to summon from or muster from a small tool like this. But you do have that, and you also have a full-sized set of scissors that fold out from the outside of that tool. And again, I've used one of these, testing it out because I was curious about this small size genre of multi-tools. Pretty legit scissors as well. Spring-loaded, nice big jaws, very cool. And you can sharpen them up when they wind up getting dull somewhere down the line. You can unscrew it, sharpen it back up, and away you go. What else do you got on this tool? I'm glad you asked. We have a blade, standard pen blade, again, basic stainless steel. Other side of that, we've got, again, a can and bottle opener. Just do this so I don't confuse them every time. Opposite side of that, opposite arm, you've got a small 2D Phillips, and you have a small file, single cut on one side, cross cut on the other, small flathead on the end. It should be said, however, the file here is just okay. It's not particularly great. But there you go. That's the Mini Flagship from Next Tool. Now we're going to stretch the boundaries just a little bit. Like, how big can we go? The SOG Power Pint. Let's talk about that real quick. It's about $50, and at first glance, this seems too big, too bulky to fit. And kind of is, but it's not quite as bad as I thought. I wasn't planning on putting this on the table here, but just for kicks, I stuck it in. I have one on my desk. I stuck it in my 5th pocket, and it did not stink. The way it worked best for me is, jaw or a hinge side down, and pocket clip actually clipped inside the 5th pocket. That kept it tidy and flat, and I could still get into my pocket around it, which is pretty impressive. But for $50, you get pliers that you can flick open like that. You've got SOG's compound leverage on it. You've got the ability to use the jaws to hold onto standard 1/4-inch hex bits on the end as well, so you can flex this into screwdriver rolls like that. And several locking implements on each side. We have a file here, and this is another case where the file is just okay. It's not particularly great, just kind of gets the job done. You've got a small hook blade here, you've got a small flathead, you've got a scraper/awl style tool, and a Warncliffe blade. All of them do lock open. And on the other side, you've got another blade. Well, let me just open them all up here first before I try to identify all of them for you. You've got a serrated sheep's foot blade, a can opener, small 3D Phillips, small bottle opener, and a pair of scissors. And I even got the can opener and bottle identification correct on that one, Thomas.
One for soda, one for soup.
There you go. I'm down. Let's. That sounds like a party. Let's go. So really cool, really capable. A lot of people out there swear by this tool, so you can check it out. And as long as that fits, we can look at a couple of the other small SOGs as well. Also for about $50, the Aegis MT multi-tool. Slightly less bulky than the Power Pint, but only by a little bit. You've got, on the outside, you've got a 440 steel drop point blade. If it's anything like the Tellus series they did, it's probably 440C, but it's just marked 440, so I can't say that for sure. You've got a fairly robust pair of tweezers on that side as well. And then beyond that, the only other main implement is the needle nose pliers here with this long soft wire cutter strip right there. Spring loaded, with SOG's compound leverage and very friendly colors as well, if that matters to you. So there you go. Those are several 5th pocket options for a multi-tool.
For opening soup.
Or soda. Or whatever you want. Well, that took up a big chunk of time, so we're going to move right to the lightning round now. First question is from Waylon Wade. Hey DCA, I collect American-made knives, mainly EDC folders. One thing I'm missing is a fun or whimsical knife, something like the Reich Hummingbird or the CRKT Ritual. Can you recommend a USA-made knife that brings some fun or whimsy to the table? I hope you like big knives, because we got to talk about Rich-made. Obviously, there's no real point to this knife other than to make someone smile. Come on, doesn't it do that? Doesn't matter which Rich-made knife you get either. They're all built with this same kind of attitude. We'll leave a link to the brand page down below. You can even open this one with your pinky. Mm-hmm.
Quite a pinky.
Just keep your pinkies out of the way, because when this thing falls shut, man, you don't want to be on the wrong side of that.
That one's begging for a crossbar lock.
That one could have almost been our most serious question answer at the end of the video, but it was not. It's a lightning round question instead. Next one is from Julio Mo. Remember when DCA would make videos outside in the woods? I do, actually. We used to do more kind of straight up evaluation things, actually getting out and using some stuff versus the other videos we did. And I enjoyed the heck out of them. Had a lot of fun doing those because, instead of sitting at my computer doing, word processing work, I got to, be outside cutting things and chopping things and get paid for that. But the reason we don't really do them as much anymore is because you guys kind of didn't watch them as much, unfortunately, much to my disappointment. Some of them have done okay, but by and large, the other content we were making was being responded to with greater numbers. So, that's the logical thing for us to have focused on. But let us know in the comments. If you want to see more stuff getting out there in the woods, getting out actually using stuff, if you want that, let us know. If there's a big enough response, we'll definitely bring it up in our next content meeting. And
Rich Farm remembers.
So yeah, let us know down there. And if so, what do you want to see us test out there in the woods? Next question comes from Rhubarb Rhino.
I hear it's in season.
I love that name. That's so fantastic. Question. Most expensive antique knife you've held. Not seen, held. What was it worth? Hopefully you have a photo to add for the show. I hope I have a photo that I can dig up for Thomas for this, actually. But that would have to be a knife belonging to my friend Ethan Becker, who managed to procure an original Kolklesser Brothers Kephart knife, which, much to the benefit of all of us, modern knife consumers, was turned into the BK62, the Becker Kephart. It's about $163 right now, so it's not an inexpensive knife, but it's got a fair bit going on despite its rather plain looks. Sophisticated handle shape, even though it looks simple, flares in all the right places, even a tapered tang on a K-bar production knife. The only area where this mainly differs from the original is that we've got a flat grind with a swedge rather than a double convex grind that original had. That was a little bit, would have pushed the price of this beyond what they wanted to be able to market this as due to K-bar's capabilities right there. But other than that, it's got the same nimbleness. The original didn't have bolt-on handles either, but really awesome that these are on the market. And you asked about expense. This is both the most expensive and the coolest antique knife I've ever held. Not this one, the Kolklesser one. I know the trade involved several expensive knives and a sum of cash as well. I don't honestly know the full amount, but from the way Ethan described it, it was far from a small amount to acquire it. And it's so cool because even though it's a plain looking thing, it's a link to the past. It's a link to someone who's hugely influential in the outdoor and bushcraft scene. And it's a knife that just plain works without having to resort to any kind of gimmicks. So it's cool. And it was quite expensive for him to acquire. And hopefully, like as I said, I've got pictures that we'll be able to insert on here. Well, now we come to the most serious question of the day. I did that wrong. Well, now we come to our final question of the day, which is, of course, our most serious question of the day.
Better.
Here's a serious philosophical question for you, DCA. When is a knife not a knife? I'm going to take a different tack on this. Usually, the most serious question gets a jokey answer, but not this time. Because I'm running a little short on most serious questions that inspire me. So if you have some, drop them in the comments. But when is a knife not a knife? When it hasn't been heat treated, or even heat treated well, we'll say. Because then it's that heat treating step, it's that magical step that turns something into a knife from just a knife-shaped object. And unfortunately, some of those, big retail websites out there, not talking about our direct knife competitors, knife industry competitors, but you know the ones I'm talking about. There's knife-shaped objects just littered across many of those sites. And it's a shame because what's the point of that? Because it's not a knife.
KSOs work great for queso, though.
KSO? What's a KSO?
A knife-shaped object.
Oh, we have a new abbreviation. Really, I should have put the Rich Maid as the most serious question. It was more quote unquote most serious worthy than this one. So
Still a knife, though.
that is a knife, not a knife-shaped object. It's kind of both, though. Actually, that's both a knife and a knife-shaped object. You can't not smile at these things. Seriously, man.
Use it for queso.
Ooh, that'd be a great cheese knife. Yeah.
Sold.
Ooh, actually, I just figured out what the suspension bridge on the back is for. It's for pushing the slice away from the block when you come down. It kind of like filters it out the top and makes a nice stack for you. Bet you didn't know that's what that was for.
Still don't.
I bet you didn't believe that. Anyway, that's all we've got for today. Keep leaving your questions down in the comments, including, of course, your most serious questions as well. Look forward to reading them and building out the next episode as we go. Let me know what you thought of the answers. If you got some alternate takes, if you've got some other fifth pocket multi-tools you want to bring to our attention, drop them all in the comments below. If you want to get your hands on any of these, check out the links below in the description. Those will take you to KnifeCenter.com, and don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of our knives today is give you some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we are signing off. See you next time.